welcome in our pal, Sean Gentili, NHL insider from The Athletic. Sean, yesterday, Pony and Chris had Tyler Kennedy on. He's always our guest at 2:35 on Wednesdays. I'm going to assume that he wants a little redo on this one. He gave the Penguins, going into last night, a 60% chance of making the playoffs and a 40% chance of trading Jake Gensel. Where do you stand on those things after the events that took place at PPG Paints about 24 hours ago?
60-40 is what TK said.
Yes.
Oh, boy. Let's go 40% that they make the playoffs and 50% that they trade Gensel now.
You're giving them a 40% chance to make it.
I don't think that's any kind of. I'm not trying to gas up the Penguins because they're a mess right now, but I think a lot of the teams that they're chasing are pretty flawed too. You know, you're looking at the Detroit Red Wings, who are playing great right now, but you know that's not a perfect team. New Jersey doesn't have a goalie. The Flyers are out kicking their coverage right now and probably going to trade guys themselves. The Islanders, you know, are in a worse spot than the Penguins, I think, in terms of the way they're currently playing. They fired their coach and haven't gotten a bump from hiring Patrick Waugh. Look, I don't think it's quite as dire as a lot of folks seem to be making it out to be, but at the same time, like, not good. And I think last night was, you know, because the Panthers are an elite team, and I think, you know, if nothing else, it's a rude awakening for Pittsburgh because they got their brakes beaten off by, you know, one of the Eastern Conference's elite teams. If nothing else, it's proof that, you know, there's still a huge gap between those two teams we saw last night.
So they're 7th out of 8 teams in the Metro. They are 6th in the wild card standings. Toronto and Detroit take up those 2 spots. They're 9 points behind Toronto. They're 7 points behind Detroit, and then there's the Devils, the Islanders, and the Capitals that they all have to jump. I know they have games in hand on all of those teams, but it doesn't sound like you think it'll be that hard to hop some of them and catch all these teams.
Here's the issue, and this is always the way it looks whenever you have a team that's, you know, bringing up the rear in conversations like this. It's, you know, I know I'm going to invalidate part of what I just said. I think that they're individually better than all of those teams. Yeah, in a lot of ways, but there's so many of them, dude. We're talking 6 teams that you got to hope that none of them go on any kind of real tear, and that's when stuff gets kind of fuzzy. Like before this skid that they were on right now, and they've lost 3 straight, and playing tonight, obviously. I felt pretty good about them finding a way to sneak in. But, you know, now it's like it is. Even though I do think that on paper they're the best team, and I think there's still, you know, they have stuff going for them relative to some of those other ones. You know, it's starting to get a little dark for sure.
And with the Gensel injury, you put it at 40%. I know you said it counts more on the other team sort of screwing up more so than what the Penguins are doing, but who in his place will be the guy that you think they look to who has to step up in that production?
They don't have one. I mean, that was their problem a week ago, and it's their problem today. Is that if that top line isn't cooking, they don't have any real answers. And now you subtract Gensel from the mix, man, and that's when stuff. That's the big variable. Is like, look, it's bad for every team to lose, you know, their first line left winger. When you have a team that's as top heavy as the Penguins have been, that's when stuff gets really dodgy. I think if there is a bright side here, it's that they have 10 more games left, I believe, ahead of the deadline, which is on March 8th. So if they go in the tank and whatever, they lose 5 of these 8 or something, I think the answer is going to be pretty clear. Like they're not going to have to worry about preserving anything for a playoff run because they'll be out of it. So it's amazing how their situation shifted in the last week. I'll say that much, because 7 days ago, I was still feeling, pretty bullish on their chances to sneak in. But now, man, stuff's, I know I said 40% at the start of the segment, but that's 40% falling pretty rapidly.